right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. All right, that's the Sustainability Initiative community. I am Jason Jay. I'm a senior lecturer here, director of the MIT Sloan Sustainability Initiative. I love this event every year where we get to kick off our lunch series as part of our larger co-curricular planning, as part of our larger efforts to make sustainability an integral part of the experience here at MIT Sloan. I am joined here by a couple members of our team, and I just want to introduce our broader team. Our two co-faculty directors, Roberta Rigobon and John Sturman, and then Jennifer Graham, who is here, and I are part of the leadership team. Jen, do you want to just take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Jen Graham. I'm Senior Associate Director of the initiative. I oversee all the operations and student engagement for our team. So if you have any questions now or later in your Sloan experience, please do not hesitate.
Great. Thanks, Jen. And we have Emma Cantola, who just joined us. Do you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. I'm the Sustainability Initiative's new communications coordinator, and I'm excited to work with all of you.
And Sophia Governeau.
Hi, everyone. I'm the program assistant for the initiative, so odds and ends.
Thank you for all your help with getting this to happen. Idonga Sampson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Idonga Sampson, and I'm a research scientist.
Great. So a couple other members of the team are traveling, but send their regards. So we want to start by just with a little bit of a kind of stepping way back and saying, where are we right now? When are we? And what is the challenge of sustainability as we think about it here at the Sloan School? So first of all, we want to recognize that MIT as an institution is an incredible place to be. And those of you, actually just quick show of hands, how many of you are first year MBAs or first year in whatever program you're in? Like you just got here recently. Okay, perfect. So, I think one of the things that's really exciting, and I've been here at MIT since 2005, first as a PhD student and then teaching and leading the initiative, is that we've played a critical role in the success of the Industrial Revolution, right? Our school is named after Alfred P. Sloan, who was the CEO of General Motors. There are these incredible statistics of looking at founders who have come out of MIT and gone to start companies. How big are those companies? How much economic throughput do they represent? If you add up all the companies that have come out of MIT and you think of it as an economy, it's the 10th largest economy in the world, right? Because you've got companies like HubSpot and Raytheon and dozens of others. So we are a key part of the kind of economic development and growth that has occurred over the last century. And what you see is if you look at figures of GDP per capita, you see just this incredible growth in prosperity, and with that has come some great progress on social justice as well, in the sense that the share of global population living in extreme poverty declined really significantly over the last century. Child mortality has declined very significantly. So there is real progress that we're seeing, real achievements that we have as a result of better medicines, better infrastructure, and the number of people with electricity access has increased substantially. The number of people who are undernourished has decreased. So there is real progress that I think we all get to celebrate as part of the human community. The full story, of course, is that journey is incomplete and has left a lot of people behind. And the way that we built that industrial infrastructure creates environmental impacts that threaten that prosperity and that social justice into the future. So we can look at the growth of GDP per capita in Western Europe, US, and Japan, but what we know is that the growth rates in emerging markets have been much slower. The chance to lift people out of poverty and into what we would think of as a comfortable middle-class existence is still very much an aspiration for many people in the world. While we've seen the share of population living in extreme poverty decline dramatically across the board, it is still persistent in sub-Saharan Africa. And we see continued and increasing inequality, where the absolute income of the top 10% of the global economy has continued to increase, while incomes have stagnated further down the chain. So, and in fact, at the most extreme end of this, the extreme end of human deprivation and suffering, we still have some very persistent and challenging issues around the topic of human rights violation, modern slavery. We've seen actually increases in the number of people in conditions of forced labor among adults, and persistence of child labor, and in a variety of geographies around the world. And these are challenges that we participate in, that in fact we benefit from when we get to go to the store and buy cheap goods. And many of you can think about whether you've bought a garment or anything made of cotton or anything with sugar or cattle or fish in it. These are all commodities that the International Labor Organization has identified have significant incidence of modern slavery. So we still have a lot of work to do. And in fact, some of the social injustices are barely visible, right? These things are hard to measure. It's hard to get on top of illegal activity in global value chains. And sometimes the injustices have been so thorough that they actually create invisibility of the challenge itself. If we think about the history of where we stand, which was once the home of Native American peoples, Massachusetts, the name of our state comes from the Massachusetts tribe, which had its territory here. You know, MIT, this is a quote from David Lowry, who's on the MIT faculty, like all of Metro Boston, is built on unceded indigenous land. And we benefit from policies and practices that have caused historic and ongoing damage to indigenous peoples, nations, and ways of life. This fellow here on the lower left is Francis Walker, who was the president of MIT in the late 1800s, 1881 to 97. He published a document called The Indian Question. It was a diatribe about indigenous peoples, who he described as an obstacle to national progress, helped to fuel Indian relocation processes, which Alfred P. Sloan himself actively participated in, finding in the Native American population low-cost labor for his the automotive factories that he was building. So the challenge of social justice is one of confronting our history and confronting the present about where we benefit, have benefited in the past, and where we continue to benefit from some of those from human suffering. And we also know that the environmental challenges that we create exacerbate this. So this is the map of planetary boundaries from the Stockholm Resilience Center, which combines ecological studies, thousands and thousands of studies from ecological sciences, to try to identify where are humans exceeding what we might call the safe operating space for humanity. So there's a certain amount of emitting greenhouse gases that the planet can handle, because it can be absorbed in the oceans and grasslands and forests. But of course, we're exceeding that. And so the CO2 concentration is going up. Radiative forcing, meaning the holding of heat into the planetary atmosphere and oceans, is continuing. The novel entities, meaning the long-lived, hard-to-break down chemicals and radioactive materials, forever chemicals and PFAS and things like that, that we're putting into the atmosphere. Ideally, 100% of the materials we use would be proven safe for human toxicity and environmental toxicity, but actually the vast majority of the materials that we use do not. So there's all these ways that we are exceeding the planet's capacity to handle what we throw at it, and that disproportionately affects people in low-income areas that have less infrastructure to be able to survive it. Puerto Rico has lost more power and clean water access through the hurricanes there than the contiguous continental United States. We find that the poorest areas bear the brunt of air pollution because with increased incidence of asthma, and the floods and droughts and everything in the tropical regions correlate with exactly the regions that were formerly colonized and have persistent inequality. So these challenges, these inequities also threaten our institutions, where we've seen populist movements rise up in the US and Europe and in Brazil and other geographies that are in part confronting the inequality and threaten to potentially destabilize democracy. So when we think about the interconnected challenges of social justice, environmental sustainability, institutional political integrity, we can see that they're interwoven. And so we need to take a systems approach to trying to understand these challenges if we want to confront the sort of the moment that we're in. I think this photograph is a really interesting one. It is of the Turkwell River in Kenya is drying up. And so that reflects both the expansion of arid regions and desert in Africa, but it also just kind of gives us this view of a choice. Which side of the river do we want to be living on? Which kind of a world do we want to create together? And the opportunity here is for us to define, in the midst of all of these challenges, a positive vision for the future and innovation in management practice, in technology and policy that can help us to create that better future. And that's really what we're dedicated to here. The way that we define sustainability here at the Sloan School is that we want to look holistically at the set of issues that we've just laid out here. We want to draw on the indigenous wisdom that, unfortunately, is sometimes lost in the history that I just described, but the indigenous peoples in the Americas and in the Australia, New Zealand region have deep wisdom about what it means to live sustainably, to live in harmony, right? There's a Maori word, kaitia kitanga, which means guardianship. It's a view, the Maori view includes conservation, replenishment, and sustainability of the environment. Hojo is a concept among the Navajo people about harmony and beauty. I was recently doing some work in Canada with sustainable business leaders there, and they shared the story of the treaty that was developed among the Anishinaabe and other peoples in what we now call New York and Ontario. The concept behind their treaty was one bowl, one spoon. What that means is the recognition that we're all drawing from one shared pool of resources: the water, the land, the animals and trees and plants. And we each should take our one spoon of that and not overuse and overconsume those shared resources. So when we draw on this wisdom and we try to combine it with the science and the social science and perspective that we have, the result is what we call the promise framework. And this is the basis of how we think about sustainability here. It's the organizing framework for our curriculum and a lot of the work that we do. It's a systems perspective, which means that we think about the nested systems, the systems within systems that at the biggest picture, of course, we have the shared planet that we're all part of, the environmental planetary boundaries that we described earlier. Our ability to create just societies depends on that environmental health, as we've just described. And our ability to take action to create a just society and a thriving environment depends on us having viable, healthy, vibrant organizations, markets, and institutions. So our companies, we want to create successful businesses. That's why many of us come to business school. We want to create organizations that are financially viable, that are exciting places to work. Those are embedded within markets that may or may not reward us for doing the right thing, because they're embedded in institutions where the rules of the game may or may not reward us for doing the right things. And so sometimes when we think about sustainable business innovation, it's not just about trying to make our companies better, but trying to change the rules of the game, to think about pricing carbon and other policy changes that will enable that to happen. And then we recognize that given the tensions and challenges at these macro levels, we have to think about sustainability at the personal and relational level as well. Because if I work so hard trying to get my company to be sustainable that I burn myself out and I have to leave, then I'm not going to actually achieve what I want. So I have to be thinking about my personal well-being and sustainability at that level. And if I'm so strident and arrogant and aggressive in my tactics of going and trying to make change that I piss everybody off, I don't get anywhere. That's also not going to work. It's not going to be sustainable. So the quality of our relationships really matters. And that matters to us as leaders of change. And it matters to us just as part of being here in a community. And part of our aspiration as a sustainability initiative is to weave the fabric of relationships that we can start to create here in this room today. So within this context of this holistic systems definition, we define our mission as a sustainability initiative as delivering the best education, applying academic rigor to real-world problems, and empowering leaders everywhere to take action so that humans and nature can thrive for generations to come. And the exciting thing over the last, I guess we are now in our 18th year as an initiative, is that right? Is that 17th year as an initiative, is that we've seen the community, that community of leaders grow and diversify and become very interesting. So we're doing more and more custom executive education with top consulting firms, helping them build up their understanding and insights around sustainability, opportunities that we got because our alumni helped to bring us in. And we're involved with investors, family offices, and other impact investors who are trying to use capital to drive systems change. And we're illuminating ways that they can do that the most effectively. That's the project that Idonka is working with me on. So increasingly, our ability to empower those leaders as this community grows has been increasing. And so we are excited to invite you into that community. And that's what we're going to talk about, sort of the details now of how we can do that. So embedding sustainability into your experience here during your time at Sloan is the main kind of topic of today, which is how can we enable your journey, right? And how can we enable each other's journeys toward being able to have a positive impact and to create sustainability in all the ways we just described. We do that largely through education, formal education, and career and network building. The education includes curriculum like courses and action learning projects, and then co-curricular are things like today, this lunch series, speaker series, various conferences that you'll get to hear about. And then the network building, the Sustainability Certificate is a way to build community as well as to identify individuals who have really deeply committed themselves to this terrain. And we engage with alumni, we engage in all kinds of wider contexts and conferences to help make those connections available to you as students. So the scale of this is that more than 650 people have completed the certificate. So that's kind of the alumni base that we keep in touch with. About 100 students complete the certificate every year. And they do that by getting to choose from a menu of courses across MIT, which we'll talk more about. And that's kind of the formal learning part of it. And then we'll get to talk a lot about the co-curricular component as well. Those of you who are interested in the Sustainability Certificate will go into a little bit more detail. But let me just get a quick show of hands. How many of you think there's a decent chance you're pursuing the certificate? Okay, great. So one of the cool thing about the Sustainability Certificate is that it is available to students across Sloan, across all of our programs, as well as across MIT. And we've had people from a whole variety of master's programs come together. So the interdisciplinary community is very cool. The mechanics of how it works are that you need 45 units to complete the certificate. You're going to get 24 to 27 of those in the required courses, and 18 to 21 in the electives. So the required courses are system dynamics, which you can do in either a 6 or 9 unit version. A course that I teach with John Sturman in the spring called Business Strategies for a Sustainable Future, 5915. And then our action learning course, SLab, which is 15878. So those 3 courses are required. And what I want to say is a number of you didn't raise your hand that you're interested in the certificate. Of course, if you're curious, you can talk with us more. But anyone can take these courses, whether or not you're pursuing the certificate. I like to think of it as sort of how deep do you want to tread into the waters of sustainability? Some people opt to take 1 or 2 or 3 courses. We know that about a third of Sloan students take 3 or more courses in sustainability. About more than 90% take at least 1. So we want to invite you to think about participating at whatever level makes sense for you. The elective courses are drawn from menu. Are there any EMBAs in the room? I just skipped that slide, but okay. Do you want me to say a word about it? Okay. So the elective courses allow you to tailor your time here to your interests. And what we do is we curate a menu of more than 50 courses from across the Institute. What we do is some of them are very obviously sustainability focused in the title, the faculty background, the content of the course. Some of them are courses where the topic is something like operations strategy, taught by Karen Zhang, but where we've looked at the syllabus, we've talked to the faculty, and we have understood that sustainability is intricately woven into the way that the course is taught. So there's a nice mix of very thematically specific courses and then courses that teach you fundamental management skills with a sustainability angle. This is the first of many, many QR codes that we're going to have today. So you can have your phone cameras ready on this. BSSF is, I think of as kind of a flagship course for us. This is where we really lay out the concepts and tools and perspective on sustainability and get you into start to build the pragmatic skills. The arc of this course in the spring, and we'll talk more about this later on in the term, before it's time for spring course bidding, we do a lunch series event like this that's a showcase of all the spring electives, where we talk in a little bit more detail as you're trying to choose. But just as a quick preview, the way we think about this is the vision for sustainability and kind of what the key issue areas are that we need to tackle. As a company, how do you forecast and think about scenario planning in the future? How do you then baseline your own operations and target to be able to achieve, to move toward the vision? And then implementation and leadership to get it done. The pedagogy is great. It's mixed between simulations, case studies, analytic assignments that help you build some of the skills, and frameworks taught through interactive lectures. The SLab course, oh, and I should say, this is John Sturman always likes to say this, is that Business Strategies for a Sustainable Future is, the acronym is BS, SF. Right. So our sort of philosophy is that we try to take the BS out of sustainability strategies because there's plenty of it in the world. I would say, in fact, we probably take the science fiction, the SF, out of the strategies as well, trying to look at where scenarios for the future are overly dependent on magical technological breakthroughs. The SLab course is the other major course we teach in the spring semester. This is the projects course, where you get matched up with a company and you work to advance their sustainability strategy. We have had, I think last year there were 20 students choosing from roughly 20 world-leading host companies and organizations. Recent projects included working with the Red Sox, working with Block Power, which is a sort of darling of the climate tech industry, working on decarbonization of cities. We're working with Fidelity on onboarding workers with disabilities. These are just a couple of examples, and our website has a lot more. If you are interested in the sustainability certificate, what you do is you register on this website. You may have done that already, in which case you are in our systems, you're receiving our communication, you're getting advising from Jen Graham over the course of the year. And if you haven't, this is your opportunity. And let me just pause there. We're going to be talking about a few other kind of co-curricular events and opportunities. But before we do that, I just want to pause and see if there's any questions about the certificate, the coursework, or anything else that I just said about the broader terrain of sustainability here. Okay. Oh, we got one there. Go ahead.
Hi. As a part of the sustainability initiative, is there like projects or things that are objectives with the MIT, like university as a whole, to achieve?
Okay. Do you mean in terms of our own operations as a campus, or in terms of
Operations? It can be anything that is related to sustainability
Yes.
that you think you want to achieve with the MIT. It could be any of the universities or campuses.
Okay. So I would break it up into a couple of different buckets. So one is the kind of walk the talk aspect, right? Which is, how do we live and work as an MIT community in as sustainable way as we can? That challenge, how do we become a net zero campus and things like that, right? That challenge is really held and led by the MIT Office of Sustainability, or MITOS. And they have internships and student work opportunities to help contribute to the advancement of campus sustainability. And one of the cool things, Julie Newman, who runs that office, is a good friend. They really think about it in a kind of town and gown way, like the collaboration between MIT and the wider Cambridge and Boston community, because some of the things that we might want to do around transportation infrastructure and so on can only be done together. So MITOS is the place where that work happens. So I would point you in that direction. And then I would say the other kind of big objectives that MIT has are defined around the MIT Climate Project, which is a new effort led by the new president, Sally Kornbluth, to solve the grand challenges of climate. They've defined 6 missions. One is decarbonizing energy and industry. One is building resilient cities, right? One is empowering frontline communities. And each of those missions defines an actual change in the world that they're trying to achieve by marshaling all of the exciting research and education and engagement around MIT. And so we at the Sustainability Initiative are working on essentially supporting those missions in various ways. We've done a bunch of work on climate policy that we've recently spun out into the new Climate Policy Center, and we're engaging with the decarbonizing energy and industry mission to help sort of define what that trajectory could look like. So I would keep an eye on those spaces.
Thanks.
Any other questions about the big picture or about the certificate? Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned the alumni network for the certificate.
Yeah.
How does the initiative or certificate promote like current students, getting involved or like in touch with those alumni? Do they come to speaker series, or is it kind of more of an individual basis?
Great question. Jen, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. We do invite our alumni to be guest speakers pretty frequently. We'll also invite them to campus for career-driven programs. So whether that's through networking, office hours, depending on their area of expertise, or if their organization is recruiting, at that point, we'll organize and work with the CDO on opportunities like that. We'll also invite them to more informal opportunities. So you'll see in a moment that we had a mixer happening tonight, and we have some Boston area alumni who will be there. We connect with our alumni very frequently. So we'll share with you also in a moment WhatsApp channel for students. We have one for alumni. We have consistent communication that is sent to them in terms of the different ways that they can engage with us. They'll host S-Lab projects. They'll come into the classroom and be a guest speaker there. So there's a variety of different ways that we engage them.
We also have certain thematic communities within the alumni network. So for example, we have a group on renewable energy finance, which are people who are financing climate tech across the whole life cycle, from very early stage technology, catalytic capital for new technologies, all the way to project finance to investment banking for exits. And by bringing that community together, they get to learn from each other and learn from MIT scholars. And then around the edges of that, we create opportunities for students who are interested in that space to come and meet and engage with the alumni. So that gives you a nice snapshot, I think. So as Jen mentioned, we have a social event tonight, which is a more informal and unstructured way to hang out and enjoy some food and drink. That is at Lock Bar. This lunch series continues next Thursday with a session on sustainability careers. This is jointly run with the MIT Sloan Career Development Office that we work closely with. And that is on Thursday the 19th, I think, in this room or just down the hall. Great. So you can sign up for that with these QR codes. And then we have, Jen mentioned the ability to be in a WhatsApp community. We found this to be really vibrant. We've tried a number of different platforms over the years, and this is the one that's really stuck, and it has a good vibrant flow of material. You probably, that may even be why you're here sitting in this room. So this is there's a community within which there are groups. And so there's a student group, an alumni group, and sometimes we'll create groups specific to courses. So, you know, the students taking the SSF and anyone per semester. And then we have a weekly newsletter, which is a great resource for jobs, opportunities on campus, opportunities to connect with each other, new research, new stories that are coming out of the faculty and researchers here. Any questions about the community building co-curricular part of this? Okay, so what we're going to do now is give student clubs and organizations a chance to introduce themselves. One of the things that we've found, and this, you know, I think back to my time as a grad student, I came here as a PhD student initially, is that we, you know, a few of us formed you know, a group called a student working group on sustainability. We call ourselves S-Star, and we pushed Sloan. The Sloan Sustainability Initiative would not exist if it weren't for students pushing it. The MIT Energy Initiative would not have existed if the MIT Energy Club hadn't been first created and spurred attention on it. There's a lot of times, a lot of moments in the history of this whole journey where student leadership has helped to spur new things into action. The creation of the impact investing course owes to the MI3 student club. So I think so what we've learned from that is that we collaborate very closely. We engage very, very intimately with the clubs and supporting their efforts. The first one here is not actually a club, but just an opportunity, a near-term opportunity, which is New York Climate Week. And I think Nisha is going to share some thoughts about that. Oh, great.
Yeah. We have a microphone up
Yeah.
here. So invite to the front.
Student speaker, 2 minutes.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Nisha. I'm a second-year MBA, also pursuing the Sustainability Certificate. I'll speak briefly about Climate Week. So for those who don't know, New York Climate Week is an annual event that's essentially like an aggregation of a lot of smaller events that are great networking opportunities to delve deeper into specific sectors of climate that you're interested in, and really just further your connectedness to the climate ecosystem more broadly. It really brings people all across the country, I'm assuming some internationally as well, business leaders, nonprofits, et cetera. While Climate Week is coming up in a few weeks, I know there's a lot of questions of, should you be going? What would your role look like? And it's a bit of choose your own adventure. So I've aggregated, alongside the help of many individuals in this room, all the information, please scan this QR code. This one's particularly important. And that's where you can find an Excel spreadsheet with more information about all the events that week, a WhatsApp group you can join if you have any questions, and a logistics tab if you're interested at this point in only knowing my travel information, but others will add theirs as well for those who are actually attending this week. One caveat I will make, while there are informal meetups being organized by individuals currently affiliated or alumni of Sloan and MIT more broadly, you cannot use this as an excused absence in any way. Like, it's a choice of yours if you do end up missing class. So just a caveat that this, along with other professional opportunities, there are trade-offs to make with attendance. But any questions, please feel free to grab me after this.
Thanks, Nisha. Sustainability Summit.
Everyone, my name's Chris. I'm an LGO 25 and managing director of the Sustainability Summit, which will be in May of next year. We just opened up our application for roles. So if you're interested in operations or marketing, we have quite a lot of roles that have just opened. So another reason to join those WhatsApp groups, that's where you'll find the applications or in the QR code here. We're still deciding on topics for the summit. At the moment, we're thinking about topics around resilient communities adapting to climate change. And we've also been talking about the growing power consumption that's going to AI models and server centers and bringing that into the discussion as well. So now is also a great time to join. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what topics we talk about at the summit. And so you can really, right now, you can make an impact on exactly how the summit takes shape.
Great. And I'll just add, the summit ends up being a kind of flagship event for our community, alumni, companies, students coming together. Its origins are that in 2008, a number of student clubs focused on sustainability sort of banded together and merged together to create the summit, and that has been sort of growing in stature every year. It's very exciting, and really appreciate your taking on the leadership here. Let's go to the MIT Impact Investing Initiative, MI3. What do we have in front? Okay. Yeah, so if you want to know more about this, so grab the QR code. These are folks who are thinking about the intersection between finance and sustainability, and have done a really great job of creating kind of real world experience while you're here on campus around this topic. MIT Food and Ag.
Hey everyone, I'm Sujeen. I'm a second year MBA.
I'm Andrew, also second year MBA.
Yeah, we are the MIT Food and Ag Club. This, we want to say, is the most delicious way to make a difference. We're really just looking at ways to, uncover more problems about the space and get inspired and excited about what's food. This year, in service of that mission, we've organized into focus areas that we want to focus on. So kind of across the value chain, we want to hit production, which is like the farming, ag side, distribution, retail. When you think about CPG, consumption, fine dining included, waste management, all of that. And then the pillars that we've designed are focusing on career, so networking and professional opportunities, industry, just what's out there in the space beyond like the jobs that are available. What does that look like? Flavor and experiencing really good food, hopefully, and just a personal relationship with food, and it is an emotional experience, as many of you know. And then sustainability, which kind of is obvious, but you really can't decouple it from the food and ag space, especially as we look towards the future.
Just kind of highlighting some of the events we have planned for this semester. Some of these groups at the bottom are MIT affiliated or other groups in the area that we're looking to host events with. We're looking to really make this a very accessible group. We're all consumers of food and ag. We want everyone to care more. We've eliminated dues for the club, so please sign up to get involved. First kickoff event is actually next Tuesday. In partnership with the Martin Trust Center, we're hosting this regenerative agriculture film screening over at the Stata Center with dinner provided. And we have a really exciting panel discussion coming in of MIT professors and other company leaders. So please come out and hope to see everybody there.
Great, thank you. Next up, we have SEED, Sloan Entrepreneurs for International Development.
Hey everyone, I'm Andre. Nice to meet you. You might already have seen me talk about Seed and/or Infra Club, which spoiler alert, I will do again. But Seed is the prime group at Sloan for anyone interested in international development, whether it's water security, social payments, infrastructure, you name it. Our idea is to be a bit of an interest group for those folks. And as we kick off the year, we're going to do a bit of a survey to understand what topics folks are most interested in and adjust our programming accordingly. So we have 3 pillars. First one is learn, which is very much this, which is interacting with the MIT community, bringing in professors, speakers, et cetera, in the forms of lunch and learns, lectures, or working in partnership with other incredible MIT Sustainability Initiative clubs. There's a second one around networking, which is about building your career in the space. How do you go about that? I think our signature event this year will be the DC Trek. We'll be visiting some international organizations in DC and the likes of World Bank, IFC, Inter-American Development Bank, et cetera. And then third and most important is impact, where we do consulting like projects with startups abroad that drive impact. One of our most successful projects last year is where we helped with the international expansion strategy for a business model for selling water filters in Haiti to Latin America and West Africa. So if you'd like to be involved in those kinds of things, please join our WhatsApp group or find us on Sloan Groups.
Thank you.
Think that. Yeah.
And you're also here.
I'm also this one. Sloan Infrastructure Club, this is our first year as a part of the MIT Sustainability Initiative. The club was kicked off last year, actually. And very similar to Seed, it's a group for anyone interested in any part of infrastructure. So whether it's public sector, finance, private equity, infra tech, mobility, join us. Again, I structure both of them, so they're going to follow very similar structures in the terms of surveying what people are interested in and making programming as relevant as possible. We look forward to working with, I already talked to Thomas, with the Energy Club for climate-related things, when we're also kicking something off with On-Roads and the Climate Interactive folks for go-to-market strategies for the On-Roads tool. So please join us.
Cool. Thank you. Next is the Sloan Energy and Climate Club.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Constanza. I'm a second-year full-time student.
Hey everyone, I'm Linda. I'm also a second year MBA, and we are part of the Sloan Energy and Climate Club. So this is a little bit about what we do. First, we want to create opportunities to learn more about the energy sector. Jennifer's going to talk a lot about our upcoming events and programming, but definitely come to our kickoff next Tuesday. We'll talk a lot more about what we have planned for the semester. Second is for recruitment, obviously for energy and climate roles. I personally learned about my internship and got my fellowship through the club, so definitely a really great experience for all of you first years. And second, we really want to build a very inclusive, fun, and rewarding energy and climate community. So we'll be hosting a lot of social events, so come out and see us.
A few of the events that I want to mention to everyone is, of course, the kickoff that we have next Tuesday. Please come. It's a great opportunity for you to get plugged into the club, learn about the leadership opportunities that we're recruiting for, and have an idea of the events that we're going to be hosting throughout the semester. But just to give you a quick view into those, we're going to have the VP of Low Carbon Energy Solutions from ExxonMobil kicking off our Lunch and Learn series, and we host that throughout the semester, in which we have people from industry that share their journey into the role that they're currently in, help us develop an executive perspective around different energy topics, and talk to us about opportunities that are happening within their companies. Secondly, we're going to have an energy one-on-one. We recognize that a lot of people are pivoting from their careers and are starting to develop that knowledge around the energy industry. So we're going to talk about like what are the different verticals that exist within the industry, and also like what are some of the professional opportunities that exist. And then we're going to have a career panel. So a lot of our students and our members went into careers in the climate space and also the energy space. So we would just want you to have the opportunity to talk to them about like how they got there, what were the networking strategies that they use, like what were the resources that MIT made available to them so that they could land that internship and that full-time job offer.
Thank you. Thank you. MIT Energy and Climate Club.
Yeah. Okay, great to see you all. My name is Rosie. I'm a second year MBA representing the MIT Energy and Climate Club. A little bit to highlight here, it is a club that is kind of across MIT and the broader campus. So it's the largest student club on campus, and we're trying to really be a hub for all things climate and energy across all different programs, across undergrads, grads, faculty, industry, you name it. So a lot of cool things that we have going on. We have 4 big flagship events that we run throughout the year and a lot of ongoing activities. So to quickly touch on each, starting in chronological order, we're going to have the MIT Energy Night happening on November 8th. So that's going to be coming up pretty soon. And that's an event that really showcases all of the research that's happening on energy and climate topics across campus. Then November 15th to 17th, Jay's organizing it. We're going to have the MIT Energy and Climate Hack, which is pretty straightforward like it sounds. It's a hackathon. I participated last year and it was one of the biggest highlights of my whole semester. So I really encourage participating in that. It's a great way to really just work with people from outside of the Sloan bubble. Then in the spring semester, we'll have the career fair, which pretty self-explanatory as well, brings together a bunch of different companies that are hiring in the space. And we'll end things off with the energy conference, which the team managed last year, and is really the largest run student conference on energy in the world. So super exciting. It's going to be looking this year at really trying to get some of these critical technologies out of the lab and scaled. So super relevant stuff. We have a lot of ongoing activities as well. So we've got our consulting arm, which Chris, who's also in the room, is running, which works with companies and teams of undergrads to do consulting projects. And then we've got a seminar series that presents research that students are working on from across campus. And we've got a bunch of social activities as well. Because not all of MIT runs on a million WhatsApp groups like we do. We mostly communicate and stay in touch through a newsletter. So you can sign up on our website. And if you want to reach out at any time, that's our email address. Just want to highlight that a lot of these events will be hiring, kind of recruiting their sub teams and their leadership teams over the next couple of weeks, or opening applications. So do keep an eye, join all the WhatsApp groups that have been mentioned, because lots of cool opportunities for leadership in a lot of these events that are going to be coming up.
Thanks, Rosie. Climate Energy Prize.
Thanks so much. Hey everybody, my name is Ateeb and I'm one of the directors alongside Gabrielle and Alejandro right here for the MIT Climate and Energy Prize. For those of you who don't know, the Climate and Energy Prize is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, specifically climate-focused startup competitions in the US, if not the world. It's been running for about 15 years now. It was originally started by Bill Aulett and Todd Hines over in the Martin Trust Center, and excited to kind of keep the legacy moving forward. The competition is principally a startup prize, right? We are providing hundreds of thousands of dollars of non-dilutive grant funding to startups who are focused on climate or energy related problems. The prize sort of runs through a few different phases. We have startups that apply from both MIT in the US and all around the world over the course of a few different rounds. We have a virtual round, we have semifinals, and in the last few years, we've actually been really excited to have semifinals both in the US as well as abroad. And this year, we're looking to have another semifinal in Europe, as potentially one in Asia. So a lot of opportunity there as well. And then the final ends up happening towards the spring, around mid-April is what we currently have planned. Our vision is really to provide both funding for the next class of world-class climate startups, but also to provide mentorship and support. And so one of the unique offerings that we provide versus some of the other prizes out there is for a lot of the lab scale ideas, folks who have maybe never pitched their startup before, we provide a set of both formal and informal mentorship and support opportunities to help those companies really refine their pitch. I'm really excited to say that we've mostly hired most of our team at this point, and actually a lot of folks who are in the crowd right now, but we are still looking for a few other open roles. So, feel free to shoot any of us an email. We'll also be sending out additional information in some of the WhatsApps and emails, the threads that exist out there, but also just come attend, spread the word. It's really important that we get as many folks aware of the prize so that we can ultimately get the best crop of applicants. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. Water, Food, and Ag Prize.
Hi, everyone. I'm Allie in MBA 25.
I'm Sam at the Department of Urban Studies and Planning.
And we're both managing directors of the Water, Food, and Agriculture Innovation Prize this year. Atib said a lot of things super well. This prize piggybacks on that. It's focused on the water, food, and agriculture innovations specifically. And it is likewise a student-led startup pitching competition. Also with mentorship along the way where we match the student-led startup teams to mentors. And it's in the spring. What else am I supposed to say? What else should I say?
Kickoff on Monday. We're having a kickoff on Monday where we have a fair number of participants already, but we always can find places for anyone that wants to help.
Yeah, let us know if you're interested. If you or a friend has a startup, if you want to help out in some way, you can reach out to us or email that email and it'll come to me anyway. Thanks so much.
Great. Future of fabric. Okay. This is, I think, the newest club to form here, which is focused on textiles and fashion and fabrics. Building off of actually some past work that's been done on the science of these topics. I will just say one more addition here I would make is, so you may have noticed that there were sort of these pairings between clubs and prizes, right? So there was a club around energy and climate, both at Sloan and wide, and then the Climate Energy Prize. There's the Food and Agriculture Club, and there's a Water, Food, and Ag Prize. Similarly, we heard from the Sloan Entrepreneurs for International Development, SEED. The sort of equivalent there is that out of the PKG Center, they run a global challenge, a sort of global social entrepreneurship challenge every year, which is a year-long accelerator process with a variety of different events to engage, to help build teams, and then support and accelerate those teams, and then provide funding and other support for teams who are doing social enterprises in emerging markets is sort of a key focus there. We'll work with you to get the information about that out to the wider group. Anything else that we missed, or any other kind of announcements of cool things that you are involved in or you'd want the community to know? This is the chance for kind of the floor to be open. Okay. Well, oh yeah, go ahead.
I'll just do a super quick plug. For those of you who have not joined the WhatsApp group, there's also an unofficial Harvard MIT climate crew. You know, we're only one axis of sort of all the really cool things that happen in Cambridge, Harvard the other. And those students over the last few years have done a pretty good job of sort of organizing sets of events just to kind of connect both sides of the Cambridge ecosystem. We are hosting our first happy hour on Monday night, so this coming Monday. So there's a WhatsApp group that I'm sure if you haven't already been added to, join it. It's just an opportunity to kind of connect with folks on the other side. So stay tuned.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, and I would strongly encourage that. I did my first my undergrad and master's at Harvard, and then came here for a PhD, and I was always cross-registering and running back and forth between the two institutions. I spent my senior year as an undergrad kind of at Harvard, hanging out at the MIT Media Lab. I took some of my methods courses over there. I think that we do our best when we sort of see ourselves as the kind of the Cambridge powerhouse. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. Some of you are taking my fall class, Innovating for Impact. Now we've got a good chunk of Harvard students taking that one. And we encourage flows in all those directions. So I think it's a great move. Thank you. Okay, with that, I think we'll wrap up and enjoy the rest of your days. We'll see you at lunch series next week.